Hola estudiantes! In this video, I'm going to talk about different things that you can use for preparing for having conversations in Spanish, maybe even conducting interviews in Spanish. Essentially, you can use this resource for Project 3. It can help you develop some notes that you'd like to take to help you prepare for your conversation. So when asking questions and having conversations in any language, but particularly in Spanish, we can talk about zoom-in question types. These are instances when you might want to have someone tell you a little bit more, give you clarification. It's also a space for sharing thoughts and emotions or asking about like quantity of something. So some examples that you can use could be dime más de, or tell me more about, or ¿qué significa? What does something mean? ¿Qué significa esta palabra? What does this word mean? ¿Qué piensas? What do you think? ¿Cuánto tiempo toma? How long does it take? So that first one is a tell me more type of situation. Dime más means tell me more. Here's some example questions that you can use. ¿Puedes decirme más? ¿Puedes explicar más? Could you tell me more about that, or could you explain more? ¿Tienes un ejemplo? Let me fix the spelling here. Do you have an example? ¿Tienes un ejemplo? O ¿puedes darme un ejemplo? ¿Me puedes dar un ejemplo? Can you give me an example? Could you give me an example? Or do you have an example? Sometimes you want to use clarification or aclaración. And some example questions that you can ask could be, ¿mencionaste algo? ¿Qué significa? Like you mentioned that. What does it mean? ¿Mencionaste something? ¿Puedes explicar más? Could you explain more? Cuando dices something, ¿qué significa? So when you say that, what does that mean? Again, you can also just use ¿qué significa? And ¿cómo defines? Or what does it mean? Or how do you define it? For thoughts and emotions, you can ask questions like ¿por qué es importante? Or ¿por qué te importa? Why is that important to you? ¿Por qué piensas así? ¿Por qué dices así? ¿Por qué te sientes así? Why do you think so? Why do you say so? Why do you feel so? And then, of course, there is quantity or frecuencia, how often. ¿Cuántas veces te ocurrió? ¿Ocurre con frecuencia? Or does it happen often? How often does it happen? ¿Cuánto tiempo dura? ¿Por cuánto tiempo trabajas en el proceso? ¿Toma mucho tiempo? How much time does it take? For how much time did you work on the process? And did it take much time? There's also zoom out question types when you're looking at factors external. And so this could be examples like ¿qué te inspira? What inspires you? This kind of brings the conversation more general and widens it. ¿Tienes personas o ejemplos que usas? Do you have persons or examples? Do you have people or examples that you use? Or ¿hay otras personas en el proceso? ¿Trabajas con otras personas? Are there other people in this process? Do you work with other people? There's also different ways to show variation. ¿Encuentras desafíos? Do you come across challenges? ¿Hay diferencias? ¿Vas a hacer cambios en el futuro? Are there differences or changes that you make in the future? During a conversation in Spanish, it's also great to have expressions and reactions. For showing agreement and disagreement, here are a bunch of different expressions. These ones are focused on showing agreement. I like to use the one por supuesto. That means of course. You can also say estoy de acuerdo. I agree. For showing disagreement, here's a great list for you as well. You can say no estoy de acuerdo, to say I do not agree. You can also use a lot of different expressions like estoy en contra, like I'm against it, or por el contrario, on the contrary, a bunch of different expressions to help you with those challenging situations in which you are showing disagreement. We also have colloquial expressions, some fun expressions in different ways that people speak Spanish around the world. And finally, there is an example, a practice example from a former Spanish instructor named Maria. And here were some of her speaking notes and how she kind of prepared for different questions and conversations for this assignment. Anyway, take what you find useful from this document about having conversations in Spanish and apply them to Project 3. Adios.